Like, where should I put my mic?
Close to your face.
Like, where does Kai Rizdal put his mic? Yeah, but like, I can't put it in front of my face because then I get the popping pee problem.
I don't know. I was just playing with mine a little bit.
Where does Kai Rizdal put his mic?
Oh, I'm sure there's a picture of that.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking. Kai Rizdal home studio picked. God, what a guy. He puts it right in front of his face, but he has a pop filter.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't have a pop filter. I also don't have sound dampening panels on my wall.
I don't know. Now you've got me second guessing all my mic placement stuff.
Yeah, me too. Maybe I need a pop filter. I mean, I have one. I just don't use it anymore.
Because you have the fancy Shure MV7 now, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sure I like it.
Why?
I've got my other one standing right. I've got my other one sitting right here because I don't think I sound as good on it. I think my voice and everything just doesn't sound as good on this mic.
All right. Well, we'll have to do some tests.
And I actually have the package right there sitting next to me. So I wonder if I should just package it back up and sell it on eBay as used.
I mean, how much you can sell for? I might be interested.
For this thing, I don't recommend it, though. I mean, seriously, if you want it, I'll just bring it the next time I'm down there.
I was tempted on that one. I was. I just got this Beta 87A, and I do like it a lot. But I was curious about the MV7.
Yeah, I mean, you sound good. I mean, I can bring it nonetheless. Like, I can just pop it in. It's just a micro USB that I use with it, and it's got an XLR, and you can just plug yours in.
Oh man, I have an interface that has two XLR inputs. We could do PNA live.
Do you have another XLR cord?
I think I do. Yeah. Like, I seriously think I do.
We could do PNA live at some point. I mean, an XLR cord is an easy problem to solve.
It definitely is. You know how with the new MacBooks, it's supposed to be the one cable lifestyle, where everything is all like, you just plug this one cable in and it's like magic and it just works with all your screens and everything.
Yeah.
I currently have almost every single cable slot on my MacBook full to operate my desk right now because I'm having issues with my Thunderbolt dock with one of my HDMI monitors and it's just not working. And it just like goes black and it's like the center main one. So I can't just like ignore it. So I have USB-C coming out for my audio interface, USB-C for my docking station, HDMI for one of my monitors, and then a USB-C to HDMI for another monitor. So I have 3 different USB-C things plugged in, or Thunderbolt things, and then an HDMI cable all into this MacBook.
Jeez.
But boy, am I glad it has an HDMI port on it.
I mean, sure. Yeah, I guess. I mean, okay. Yeah. I mean, did you ever subscribe to the one, like, have you ever gotten to the point ever on any Mac or like laptop ever where you only had one cord to plug in?
Technically on this one, I have done it for 2 screens. It's the third screen that screwed me up. And now it's the second and third screen that are screwing me up. But I have done it.
Okay. All right. I don't know that I've ever successfully gotten to that point. Although, you know what? No, I take that back. My work PC, when I got to work, I would put it on the stand, and I only had 2 external monitors. So I would keep the laptop open, and then I would add 2 external monitors, and it was only one cord for power and all. Like, it plugged into an actual dock, and it worked reliably and consistently. And like, I guess that was. Yeah, I guess that was just one cord I ever plugged in. I mean, sometimes I plugged additional things in because the dock, like, oddly enough, did not have enough USB-A ports. So I would plug stuff in directly to the laptop. But that was unusual. It wasn't the norm.
Yeah, my work setup was a single cable. It was just the docking station. I mean, it's an HP thing. So it's like a combination power and USB-C, kind of like that magnet together and plug in, 2 slots on the computer, but in one kind of connection, I guess. And that works really pretty well. But for some reason, that has also stopped working in the past like week with the single cable thing. So I have to even do an HDMI cable into my work laptop as well, which is pretty annoying. Like, it was really nice to just be like, I plug this one thing in and it just makes all three of the monitors on my desk work. But I'm wondering if it has something to do with like refresh rate and Thunderbolt bandwidth and all sorts of that kind of mathy stuff that I don't usually do. But it is really nice to be able to have a docking station that also charges your computer, because I remember the bad old days where you had to have like a separate brick and plug and then also, a docking connector. That was no fun.
I remember those where the plug that you had to plug in, even for like Surfaces.
Oh yeah.
Unless you had like the super nice Microsoft Surface dock, you had to have that special. There was always that special cord that you had to plug in. But for like back when like the first I don't know, like the first work laptop I ever had, even when you plugged it into a dock, you had to plug the round AC adapter plug in because the dock didn't supply enough power.
Mm-hmm.
Or you couldn't supply enough power through the switch or through the port. Yeah, I remember the one way that they used to get around that was like they'd have the docks that were actually like that you would slot them in and they would like snap in.
Oh, those were so cool.
To the big port on the bottom of the laptop.
Yep, yeah, the big docking port. Dell had a really good one for that, and so did IBM actually. And they would have an eject button where they would pop the whole thing off.
Eject button, yeah.
It would mechanically go ka-dunk, and it would like come up, and then you could take your laptop away.
Yeah, we still had some of those at work.
My first work laptop had a docking station like that, and then they switched over to like Thunderbolt based ones, and I was just like, "What black magic is this?" And it was really cool. Anyway, all of my USB devices are all working right now, so I think if we just don't wiggle anything, I'll be okay for the show.
Don't touch anything.
Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 71. Chris, you have a follow-up item in here, but I don't remember talking about it. You say, follow-up, Mario Kart is hard. And I have questions about both sides of that, colon.
Yes, so the follow-up part is that last time I talked about how I got Mario Kart on a whim on the Mario Day sale.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we talked about that. I'm getting old.
I bought Mario Kart 8 for the Switch.
That's right. And we talked about the tracks and the things, and that Mario Kart is actually a really fun game, and literally is the only game that will get me to get my Switch out. Yes, I remember now. Thank you.
Yep, that's a good recap of last episode.
Okay, I still have a question about the other side of that, colon, because I don't know that I agree with you that Mario Kart is hard.
Okay, Mario Kart is not hard. What I have done is, so I got this new Mario Kart for the Switch. I mean, it's the new old Mario Kart for the Switch. And so I don't have any of the trophies, right? Any of the tracks, any of the trophies. Well, actually, nice thing about it is it does unlock all the tracks from the beginning, which the Wii U version did not do. You had to do them kind of in order, so you had to like play them all. Because I was worried that I would like not be able to play any of the courses because I hadn't played it yet, and I'd be stuck on the first one, etc. What I didn't realize is that I would be my own worst enemy there, and I wouldn't let myself play anything other than the first level because I'm trying to get 3 stars on 150cc, and it's not trivial.
Which means you have to come in first place on all 4 races, right?
Correct.
I would agree with you that it's not trivial. 150cc is a little tricky.
Yes. I of course, opened the game and I was like, I am a good gamer. I can play this game. This is a game for, children. It's Mario Kart. And of course, I started the game and it has like auto steering on for you. And I was like, why is it not letting me take any of the secret routes? Why is it forcing me to take this secret route? What is going on? And then finally I saw the little blinky like remote control antenna sticking out from the back of my car, which is how they tell you that like auto steer is on. And it took me a very long time to figure out how to turn it off because there's no guide, like no like instruction manual for the game.
You do it during character selection, don't you?
Yes, you can also do it from the pause menu.
Oh, okay.
Which is, I think, how I did it. And then I found it like 2 days later in the character select screen. So anyway, I did that. And so that was good because that unlocks the ability to use the purple drift. So like you drift, you get the blue, then the orange sparks. And then there's another level that's the purple, which gives you even more of a boost. And so I unlocked that because I turned off the auto steer, which is good. And then I've done the first circuit, like, I don't know, probably 5 times, trying to get first in all the races, and I've gone first everything but one, where I got second, and that's just, heartbreaking. But it's harder than I expected, I guess. And like, I know that 150cc is the hardest. Like, there's 200 also, I think. But 150 is kind of like the hardest of the normal levels. And that's why I was trying to start there, because I was just like, oh, I'll knock that out because it counts for the 100 and the 50 below it. Like, I'll just do the 150s and then I'll just have them all. I mean, and it doesn't matter because there's no trophies. There's no, like, it's all just pride and accomplishment in Mario Kart. But,
Can you do some research for me?
Sure.
What is the here's what my thoughts are. Are we able to do the 150cc thing together? And if we trade first place back and forth, do we still get 3 stars?
I don't know. You mean like, so if players collectively beat the CPU?
Right. So if you come in first place in the first race and I come in first place in the second race, and we do that back and forth for all 4 races, do you get 3 stars for that Grand Prix?
I thought it had to be the same person, but maybe not.
I believe you're right too, which is disappointing, because if we played together, it would actually, like, because I'm not going to let you win.
Of course. I would try not to let you win. I actually have a sneaking suspicion that you are better than me at Mario Kart somehow, which we haven't really tested this, so I don't really know, but we should have an opportunity to do this soon. So we'll try it.
Yes, we shall play, and I think it will be fun because so this is the one game that my siblings and I play together.
Aha.
And they're very good, but I maintain that I'm the best.
Oh dear. Well, I look forward to that challenge.
They're always so this is a good sibling rivalry story. They're always so amazed that I'm so good at it because I don't play. Like, I will go a year or 2 without playing Mario Kart, and then I'll need like a race or 2 to like warm up and get back into it and like relearn the controls and like just get my groove back, and then I will stomp. And I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I like feel like I execute well when I play Mario Kart. It's just that I am having trouble keeping in first place on these 150cc's, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think it's the items. I think it's really that I just get like hit by a red shell at the wrong time or hit by a blue shell. Oh no! Like, those items in Mario Kart can really swing the balance.
Sure, but you have. I mean, are you? I mean, there's Are you using the strategy where there are 2.
Hold the banana behind you.
Hold the banana behind you, or hold the green shell behind you, or if you in first place, you often get the like the horn. The box with the horn on it.
Maybe. I don't think I've gotten it in first place. I think in second or third I have.
Okay, if you have that actually stops a blue shell if you time it correctly.
Oh.
Yeah, like you got to research some of these strategies because they're very important, especially if you like, the thing with Mario Kart is like, if you're in first place and you get hit by a blue shell but you're so far ahead it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter because you're not going to get they're not going to blue shell you like twice in a row, or the likelihood of that is very low. But there are some strategies to get out of those like really sticky situations. And I have learned some of them. I have not mastered them, but typically what I find is it's just easier to get so far ahead of everyone else that it doesn't.
Oh, that's what I like to do for sure.
And I can do that on the first couple Grand Prix, like the first couple, I can do that all right at 150cc. It's the maps I don't know. I just won't. I can't do it. I will never get there. Or I'll have to spend the time to learn them and research them at the lower CC levels. And I just don't think Mario Kart is a game I want to grind.
That's fair.
But anyway, go research how to avoid blue shells, because there's I'm sure there's great YouTube videos on it.
I definitely just typed into Google Mario Kart 8 Deluxe strategy guide and found several articles that have tips. Here's a list of 10 tips for how to do well at Mario Kart. And some of these look a little tricky. I don't know. They're talking about like neutral hops and bunny hops and fiery hopping and demon slides. I don't even know what that is.
Okay.
Brake pumping and spin drifting and
you got to learn these things. I don't know half of the things you just said. I mean, you do hop.
The bounce pad slide.
I don't know about the bounce pad slide, but like you hop and like when you jump off of like bounces and stuff, do you do the tricks and all that?
I do.
Okay. That's like step number
I like
2.
when you do the jump, you press the thing and it makes your character do a little flip or whatever, and that gives you a little speed boost.
And then you get a speed boost when you hit and then there's also, obviously the drifting gives you a boost, and the I really don't like the items. I think just racing is fun, but you got to have strategy. You got to keep it interesting somehow. All right, most important question in all of Mario Kart: which character and which car?
I guess right now I don't have them all unlocked, so I don't know that I have a car preference. I'd have to go back to the Wii U and like look at what I had chosen. But I tend to like to play as Yoshi. I don't know why. I just like Yoshi.
Okay, pretty neutral character. Do you have a car versus bike preference?
I usually like cars. Sometimes I think I used to play Link on a bike sometimes. That was fun.
Okay. I like cars too. I think the well-roundedness of a car and the higher top speed of cars, which doesn't really make sense in the physical world kind of sense, but the bikes have faster acceleration, the cars have higher top speeds and greater weights, right? Like they can bump other players around. But I tend to like cars too. I tend to go with a very neutral build in Mario Kart. Like I play like as Mario, and I play as like almost the default car with very default wheels. I want like everything like neutrally high. I don't want anything like to spike. And I don't know if that's the right strategy. That's just the one I choose.
I think I might have thought you might have done like a Bowser or like a heavier character. I don't know why.
No, I mean maybe if you get really good at avoiding, like a Bowser character is really good if you never slow down, right? Because he's got a higher, he's essentially heavier. He's got a higher top speed, more momentum, but his acceleration is so slow because he's heavy.
That's true.
So it's a balance. So if you get hit by a lot of things or you tend to hit walls a lot, his acceleration is really bad. Okay, well, we'll let everyone know how it goes after I sweep the floor with you and Mario Kart.
All right, I'll be practicing.
You opened this can.
I suppose I did.
I have started Horizon Zero Dawn.
Hey,
I know I've been saying I was going to do it for a while. I have finally started it. I have not gotten very far. And we'll talk about maybe why in a little bit. But I did start it. I have lots of questions, like, and that's good in a story game. I have not gotten past the point in which I have seen someone else play yet, which is causing me to be a little bored by it because I'm not learning anything. Like I'm not developing the story in my own mind because I already know everything that's happening. And that has made it difficult to get back into, like to open the game back up, because I know that essentially it's going to be a little bit of a grind to get to a point where I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. It's new. I've never seen that before. I think what I'm going to have to do to get there is to skip all the side quests, which like kills me inside. But in order to progress the story far enough where I want to keep playing it, I think I'm going to need to like fast forward a bit. And by fast forward, I mean just beeline the main quest. Because I want to get to the point where I can, learn stuff. I am considering this is a good little tidbit, Chris. I might figure out and test out, PlayStation Anywhere or PlayStation Remote Play or whatever, for an upcoming trip and see. It's very unlikely to work, but to see how good or bad it is when I'm actually not in the same physical location as my PlayStation.
I predict it won't be very good.
No, I predict it'll be awful, but I'm going to try it nonetheless.
Do you have any idea how many hours you are away from new stuff for you? Like, how many hours of Horizon have you watched in the past?
I watched between 2 and 4 hours of Horizon.
Oh, okay.
If you've never played and you don't want to hear what I'm about to say, please like skip forward 15 seconds. I've seen the story through her completing the trial.
Okay. That's pretty soon.
Oh yeah, no, it's like right there. It's pretty soon. I saw like the I won't say who it is. I saw the character die, right? Like there's really no, like, you understand, something bad happens. Great. At the end of the trials or whatever, during the trials or whatever, I know that's kind of a story beat, and that's when I stopped watching, which is like it's like the intro to the game, right? It's like, it's so early in the game. But it's, I like to get to that point. I'm just like, it's been such a drag. Like, as every side quest I've already seen, every thing that has happened so far, I have already seen. And so I'm not like discovering anything about this story. This is the exact reason, my really hard rule that I don't watch stuff on YouTube that I haven't experienced in person.
Mm-hmm.
This is why, because when I go to finally experience it, it is not nearly as impactful to me. And I recognize that. So this is a perfect example of like why I don't do that. And I recognized it as I was watching Horizon Zero Dawn. I was like, crap, I'm going to want to play this game. I need to stop watching it.
Well, at least you had the kind of self-awareness to know that. It's funny that you mentioned beelining the main quest and skipping the side quests, which kills you, because I'm the same way. And I've actually made a decision to like not exclusively beeline the main quest, but mostly beeline the main quest in Horizon Forbidden West. Because just for efficiency of playing the game, because there's so many games that are out right now and so many different things I want to play and different uses of my time and all of that, that I've just kind of made a decision for myself where it's like, I think I'm going to go primarily on the main quests. And then if there's anything that looks really interesting from a side quest perspective, I'll take it. But for the most part, the side quests, I think, don't provide that many gameplay upgrades. They really just kind of add color and story to the world, which is, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like that. But at least for now, because like I've mentioned in the past, my wife and I, we play it together. So like I play and she watches. And so that puts kind of a scheduling limit on the amount of time that I end up playing the game. And so I've kind of decided that I'm going to, for the most part, just go for those main story quests and then maybe pick up some side quests later. I kind of want to look up, and there's no good way to search this. Well, maybe there is, but I want to look up like what is the side quest that gets you whatever the good end game item is, because I'm sure there's one, but then there's going to be 45 side quests that are just kind of, oh yeah, help my brother find this thing, or do whatever. And those are the ones that are kind of low value, and I don't really need to do them.
Yeah, I have noticed that some of the side quests, at least in the beginning, I mean, and I assume throughout, like some of them are, while they're all voice acted, and I appreciate that, some are better than others.
Yeah, you almost need like a side quest like rating system.
Yeah, or just like which ones are like truly side quests and which ones are like parallel main story quests.
They kind of do that in the like menu system. They have side quests and errands and stuff like that. And of course the errands are always like the lowest like importance. But I don't know, like side quests almost need to be ranked as critical or not. I do know in the first game, in Horizon Zero Dawn, there are certain side quest chains that if you do them all, it like has some small effect on the end of the story. So if that's important to you, I don't know. I'm sure I could find you a list of those.
It is, and that's why it kills me, because I know like in Mass Effect, right? It's another largely story-driven game. The side quests affect the end of the game, right? They change they change the available endings to the game.
Yeah.
And I typically go for what I would consider a story completionist kind of run, just by default, where, like in Mass Effect, you have the ability to do all of your companions' side quests and like I think they call them loyalty quests, and that changes the way that you run, and the story that you get in the end. And I really want to do that with Horizon. I don't know if it changes things in Zero Dawn, but that's just my default. That's like what I want to do.
Yeah, I can absolutely get you a list of those if you care, like if you want me to, but like, cause I'm not worried about spoilers for me. And I could give you, I mean, you can get the quest names, and those don't really reveal too much about what's going on. They're always kind of vague.
The only thing I would say is like, are there any again, I don't, whether we need to look this up or not, are there any side quests in the first like 4 hours of the game that really matter to the end of the game?
I will look that up for you and let you know.
Okay. Because that's past the first part of the game. I will be doing a story completionist run. But I need to get to the point where I can just play and experience new things.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in the first 4 hours, but I will look for you.
Are you a fishing champion yet?
I'm not a fishing champion, but I am kind of a big reel.
Good. That was good. I like that. We are obviously talking about Guild Wars because Chris continues to deplete the lakes of their natural resources.
Aw.
You've been fishing a lot.
I have been fishing a lot.
Okay, I do have one piece of follow-up that I want you to know. I did post it in our Guild Wars 2 channel earlier today, but some people released some stats about End of Dragons. And the one stat that I want you to know is that of the people signed up on Guild Wars 2 efficiency, which is a decent population of Guild Wars 2, 41 people, 41 players, 41 accounts have achieved cod swimming among mere minnows.
Right, which is amazing. And I would like to be one of them, and maybe I could be in the top 50 there, and that would be really fun. So for those that have no idea what we're talking about, there are meta achievements that are based on fishing all of the different kinds of fish out of the waters of various regions of the Guild Wars map. And I have the first achievement of those, which requires you to get 5 of these other achievements. It's the first meta achievement that requires you to get 5 other achievements. To get cod swimming amongst mere minnows, it takes 30 of those. And I don't know that they get particularly much harder as you go. It's really just kind of a little bit grindy, but it's a lot. Like that is a lot of swimming or fishing rather.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just a lot of grinding. It's a lot of RNG. It's not bad. It's fun. You seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think I really enjoy it because it's something that I can do that's very like low engagement, I guess. Like it doesn't require a lot of attention from me. Like I need to go to the next fishing hole and then cast the line, and then when the exclamation point shows up, push number 1 and then push 2 and 3 to get the little, to play the fishing mini game that we talked about last time. And that is something I can do very kind of by rote, and I can have conversation with somebody at the same time. Like I could be, doing whatever, having conversation and still be fishing and kind of making progress towards the meta achievements there. And I do really like things like that. It almost reminds me, and it's not really an idle game, but it reminds me of an idle game kind of, because it's something I can just do idly, I mean, somewhat. And it makes progress while I'm doing other things. And I like that.
Yeah, and there's no penalty either, which is something I've kind of learned is, like typically in a fishing hole, you get 3 fish, like you get 3 catches. And I was always worried like, oh no, if I don't get the exclamation mark before it disappears, like you essentially lose credit for one. No, it's 3 catches that you get. So like if you're distracted or doing something else or whatever and you miss it or it's like no big deal.
Yeah, and I've had that happen where I've like missed something or like glitches or whatever, and it's fine. You just try again. It actually is very similar in Guild Wars. I'm sure it's the same system to like mining nodes and trees where you get 3 hits on the tree and then the tree falls over. So the fishing is the same way, because if you interrupt your tree chopping, you'll have 1 more hit or 2 more hits left.
Yeah.
So it is nice in that way, and it's all instanced, so you're not fighting with people like for a particular node, which is how all resource gathering in MMOs should be. Just a note.
It's not how it is in Lost Ark.
Ugh.
They respawn so fast in Lost Ark that it doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's and it's interesting the dynamic it causes with parties, because I'll be like, oh no, I have 1 more fish. Like, hold on, like I have 1 more in this spot. So it adds a little bit of a cool dynamic. Anyway, 41 players have achieved your title. You have kind of a big reel.
No, not my title.
Sorry, 41 players have achieved your goal already. That is 0.04% of the population. Whatever this population is, I don't know who's the poll on this data.
I was just doing some quick math, and it looks like it's about 100 and some thousand people.
Okay, I think that's the number of people that purchased End of Dragons that are connected to Guild Wars 2 efficiency.
Okay.
Which makes sense. Like they would only count the people that actually purchased End of Dragons. 41 players. There are 3.2% of the population has achieved the one that you have, kind of a big reel. So 3,000?
Mm-hmm. About 3,000.
3,200 people. Yep. I am not one of them. I've got like 2 out of 5 for that first title, or 3 out of 5 maybe. You're at 8 already, or close to it. 8 out of 30.
Yep, I'm at 8. I'm almost at 9. I stayed up way too late last night trying to fish and get to 9.
Are you fishing right now?
I am not fishing right now, but the thought may or may not have crossed my mind.
I was unsure whether you were fishing right now.
No, I am not fishing right now. And that is mostly helped by the fact that I am not on my gaming computer to record a podcast, which is definitely a good thing from a distraction point of view.
All right, well, let's get this done so you can go fish. The other thing I want to say about Guild Wars is I actually put this on here. I didn't mean to talk about fishing for so long, but it has done a nice job of re-gripping me into it. And I've actually made the decision to I got to tier 2 in Lost Ark, and I kind of put it aside for now, because I'm really enjoying my time in Guild Wars, and I want to spend more time in Guild Wars. This expansion has been really nice. I think it's been good. I've been re-engaged not only with this expansion though, but with all of the other content. And that's something that I want to bring up again about Guild Wars, is that I'm spending time in the first expansions area, in the second expansions area. I'm spending more time in the living world areas. I'm spending, honestly, like to be perfectly frank, now that I've completed the End of Dragons story, I'm spending the least amount of time in the End of Dragons area. So it's been a full re-engagement from me on Guild Wars 2, and some of the information and data that they've put out is essentially telling that I'm not the only one. I'm not alone in this. They did say that this expansion outsold their last expansion, which is, I think, a really good sign. I mean, I didn't expect that. I expected this expansion to not outsell Path of Fire, because Path of Fire did pretty well. It has been a long time, but and the other big data point that they released in a blog post is that the number of active Guild Wars 2 players has doubled in the last 3 years. Now, I don't know where it was 3 years ago, so I don't know how much that is saying, but it shows growth, and I think that was Very surprising to me. And then the last thing, and maybe we could talk about like timeline and what this all means, but they confirmed a fourth expansion, which they have never done this early in kind of the development cycle. They confirmed a fourth expansion 3 weeks after this expansion, which I was totally wrong about. And someone actually called me out on it and just said, like, listen, like all this time and money being put into Guild Wars, they are not done. It is not 2 years out. I think we're 2 years out from another expansion. And that makes me really excited for a couple of reasons. But I'm going to stop for a second and then maybe we'll get back to it because I just said a lot of things. And I want your thoughts on kind of everything I just said.
Okay. Yeah. So taking the last one first, I am also interested in the expansion future of Guild Wars. I actually would take, as you were saying that, I was like having visions in my head of what I would want that to be. I would actually take a mechanics focused expansion. Like I was like, I don't know how much I care about more story content, but like something that like adds more, like fishing, right? Something that is a system that is, you know, you don't have to engage with it if you don't want to. It's not key to progression or anything like that, but it has a good, like, this is a grindy thing you can do if you want, but it's like an activity. And that kind of thing, I would love more of that. I don't know what it would look like. I mean, fishing is pretty easy to kind of visualize and do that with. I have no idea what else you could do with it, but that's not my job. It's their job to figure that out.
Lost Ark does this really stupid thing, but is very interesting in a way, in that they have a lot of mini games, and fishing is almost like a mini game. It is essentially it's much more it's more engaging than mining nodes and trees in Guild Wars, but not as super engaging as say combat. I think they need more of that, some kind of mini game that is engaging but not quite as combat. They need more of it. I think it would get more people to log in regularly. I think it would be more people to log in idly. I think that is kind of like that. You talk about like Guild Wars 2 kind of being a casual game in some respects. And I think that those types of mini game type scenarios really contribute to that. I'm not talking about minigame in the sense of Super Adventure Box, because that is combat, right? Like that is not minigame-ish. I'm talking about it in the sense that like fishing has been a very good, sure, you can call it mechanic, but I would call it like, you know, like side minigame kind of thing with a meta, right? And I think it's a meta that ties into the, you know, the achievement system and all of that. So yeah, I agree. I think that would be cool.
And yeah, as you're saying, fishing and combat, the cool thing about fishing is they gave you a boat, right? They gave you the skiff, and you can drive around on your skiff on the water. And for the most part, you don't get attacked, which I really like. So if you're trying to do like gathering nodes from like mining and like tree chopping and gathering herbs and stuff like that, you're going to be in the middle of a whole bunch of area that has a bunch of enemies on it just because of the nature of the world. Water is nice in that all of the bad stuff is under the water. And so if you are on top of the water in your skiff, then for the most part, you can just kind of stand up there on your little boat and fish and not have to worry about all of the underwater stuff that wants to kill you. The most annoying thing about fishing is when something attacks me. Like, I hate it. I'm like, you're going to make me get off my boat, fight this little Naga thing for like 30 seconds and then get back on my boat and keep fishing. Like, why can I just not keep fishing?
Right. Why can't I just disengage? Now you can drive away.
I know, but then I miss out on that fishing spot. Like I want the little fishing hole, and I want to be able to fish out the things that I, you know, am going after, because you can only get certain fish from certain spots. And so I have to engage.
I would like if they added another mastery to the skiff, like a top level mastery that just said like, make everything around you passive.
Oh, that would be so nice.
That would be very cool. And making it a mastery, I think, is a fair trade-off, right? I think it would be a very expensive mastery in terms of points and experience, but I think it would be a welcome one. God, we've talked so far, I forget the other things that I said before I let you talk.
I'm not sure that I remember them either. Set Aside Lost Ark, new expansion coming. They've confirmed the new expansion.
Oh, the doubling in players.
Yes. I don't know that I notice the number of players that are playing Guild Wars, but I think it's good for the health of the game that they're getting more people in there. So, thumbs up for me for that.
I am excited about the growth of the game. I am excited about them essentially saying that there's another expansion coming. I am excited about the potential for a Living World Season 6? 4, 5, 6. Yes, Living World Season 6. Because it's essentially validating, in a way, for me, the time I'm putting into this game.
Okay.
Because I know it will be valuable for a longer period of time. And I often struggle with the idea of like, oh man, I put so much time into like this virtual environment, right? Like how do I justify all of this effort into something that literally doesn't matter on the grand scheme of things, right? It doesn't make me money. It's not like when I play it solo, it's not really building relationships. So I struggle with that a little bit. I've mostly gotten over it because I realize that it's a source of entertainment and fun, and that is important in life. But I was really struggling with it for Guild Wars for a little bit because I knew, or I thought, or I had this idea that the game was eventually like soon-ish coming to an end. And it's different than like World of Warcraft, right? Like in World of Warcraft, you know that in 2 years or whenever they release their next expansion, all of the stuff you have is going to be worthless. But in Guild Wars, it's different, right? Like it's always valuable because it's horizontally, it's horizontal progression. So like all this work that you're putting into like your legendary armor or like your builds or your characters or all of that stuff will be important forever. And the only way that it remains important is because it will have value for a long time. And that has kind of reinvigorated me with Guild Wars now that they've essentially said there is absolutely like verifiably confirmed another expansion coming.
Yeah, I'm finding myself more interested because of the fishing stuff, that like that's a thing I can do and I can kind of find my own little niche and get the achievements and do the things in the world. Because I'm not super into the combat side of Guild Wars, and I know that you're trying to work on me with that. And I'm open and willing to try it, but right now I'm excited by the fact that I can chase this title, which is a totally random, stupid thing, but like it's a thing I can get, and I can be in the top 0.04% of all the people. And that, like, I'm never going to be the best at combat, but I might be the most fished out person or whatever you want to say, a cod swimming amongst mere minnows, if you will. And that for me is fun.
I can see that. You are not the only one in our friend group that likes to be the best at something. And you are certainly right now leaps and bounds beyond what anyone else in our friend group. And I mean, according to this data, you are in the top 5% of fishers in Guild Wars. And if you keep going, you may be in the top 0.1%.
Ooh.
Okay, I didn't intend for this to be an entirely Guild Wars 2 episode, but I do have one more thing to say about Guild Wars 2. And one of the changes they made surrounding strikes, they are going all in on strikes. Strikes are essentially the new raids, right? And I was a little upset by that at first, and I think the community is a little bit on edge about what it means. But they've made it clear that they're going all in on strikes, and I'm glad that they're kind of picking something and sticking with it, because they did release new strike content, and they are now starting eventually. Maybe by the time this is released, I don't know the exact timeline. They are releasing challenge mode strikes, which they are saying will be on par with essentially raid level bosses. So that's exciting, and you will get raid level rewards. Which for anyone that plays Guild Wars 2 is a legendary insight if you do challenge mode strikes, and that allows you to build raid armor, raid legendary armor, and all of that. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm kind of excited that they settled on something, but the thing I'm most excited about with strikes is that they've standardized the reward structure in such a way that they don't feel overbearing anymore. So the best way to do strikes now, the most efficient way to do strikes now is to just do the daily strike every day, which will eventually get you to do all of the strikes in a week. And that kind of method of doing strikes is a much lower bar, but at the same time, like, feels much more rewarding and the right time investment level. Because you used to have to do, like, when with Iceberg Saga, you'd have to log in and do all of the strikes. You'd have to do, like, a lot of people called them like the easy 3 or the fast 5. That was essentially what your daily strike would be. And now it's much more apparent. It's much more efficient to just do each day the Iceberg Saga, which was Living World Season 5, essentially. To do the strike from that story, and then to do the End of Dragons daily strike. And that's it. And that's like a 15 to 30 minute time commitment, depending on which ones are the daily strikes. I love it. I'm so inclined to log in and do the one strike because it's a lower time commitment, but relatively equal amount of rewards. And I just love the way that they've structured the rewards now and what you can get for them and how they all kind of map out. And I've really enjoyed kind of re-engaging with that system.
Is the strikes, I guess the dailies are, of course, the most rewarding because they always give you bonus things for doing dailies. If you have time and you want to, can you do more strikes to get more stuff?
You can. It's kind of a diminishing return kind of thing. So you get essentially shards. They're called either green or blue shards. And you get a certain number of them for doing the strike for the first time for the week. You get it, so many for doing the daily strike. You get so many for doing all of the strikes in a week, right? So in End of Dragons, there are 4 strikes, and you get extra green profit shards for doing all 4 within a week. But once you kind of pass that, you get like the standard, 5 or 10 shards per strike just by doing it. You could do it over and over and over again. But 5 or 10 shards really isn't a lot. You really need those like bonus to make it worth it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, if you're somebody that's kind of choosing to play in fits and starts, how does that look for like reward structure? Because dailies are always tricky because, like, oh, well, I can't play on Tuesdays or whatever the case may be. Am I really missing out? And so weeklies are better. And even then it's like, oh, I have lots of time to play on Saturday. Like, can I play a lot on Saturday to get a lot of reward?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think based on what I'm seeing in like the looking for group, you always see like the people doing the daily strike. But sometimes you see people doing essentially a full run, right? And that for End of Dragons, it's all 4 strikes and you get the weekly reward. And I think if you logged in, and did the daily, which you would do if you did all 4 in a day, you would be probably 60 to 70% of the way there. And then if you logged in every day and did the daily strike, you'd be, 90% of the way there. And then if you did every strike every day, you would be, that's the maximum you could get.
I may have to check that out.
Strikes are great. And the new ones with End of Dragons were designed very well. And I really enjoy them. And they're not too hard, but they're also, you can see where the difficulty will come once they add challenge mode. So I'm excited about them. I think they are good content, and I'm glad they're committing to them.
Well, now that we've had the Guild Wars 2 hour, is there anything else we want to talk about?
I think we should keep going.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so Guild Wars 2 was all great news because I love Guild Wars 2 and it's awesome. There's been a little bit of drama about one of the games that you're playing. Is drama the right word?
I think drama is definitely the right word. So Gran Turismo 7, which we've talked about a couple times, I am on my way to the A license. I've got the B license. I'm working towards the A license. So that's my, progression update, which is, no spoilers because it's Gran Turismo. They came out with an update last week or 2 weeks ago that basically threw the in-game economy totally out of whack. So they reduced the payout on a bunch of the races, a bunch of the events, to say like a lot of people were complaining on Reddit, and I am not done with the cafe. So the cafe is kind of like the closest thing there is to a story mode. And so after the cafe though, you kind of just open up and just, do whatever races you want to get whatever rewards you want to get money so you can buy cars, etc. And they basically said the payout for doing those races is going to be much less now. And the internet just freaked out. Because everybody was, oh no, now you're taking away all this progression. You're making it so that you want me to buy all the real money transactions, and I'm not going to do that. And so this game is dead for me, and this is a bait and switch, and the reviews were good, but now they're bad. And like, everybody is so up in arms about it. And I think they're right. I don't think they're incorrect, because it is kind of bad form for them to kind of change the rules of the game that significantly, like that soon. But man, everybody's like, oh, this is it. I'm never buying another Gran Turismo again. Like, I'm never going to play this game again. It's like, is that what you want though? Like, it's still like a racing game. It's still, you can still drive the cars. Like, it's still fun. I don't know. It's worth writing it off, I guess is maybe what I would say about that.
Yeah. I mean, people tend to overreact or like give their fiercest opinion anonymously, but
yes, especially the people on Reddit.
Yes, Reddit is you only get the extremes on Reddit and Twitter, which is actually one of the reasons I kind of like YouTube. It tends to be a little bit more subdued. But anyway,
we should talk about YouTube title cards, but that's not for now. You want to talk about extreme opinions and clickbait.
But I see their point a little bit here. Based on what I've read, and again, I'm not playing the game, and I don't really have a stake in this. But based on what I've read, they have ruined the in-game economy to the point at which you have to buy real world. You have to buy microtransactions to earn cars, right? To earn, in big air quotes, certain cars. And it's very funny because they put out a kind of a statement. I don't know where it was, but a lot of people were comparing it to the pride and accomplishment statement that EA put out a couple years ago. And I put a link to it in our Discord, in the P&A Discord. But it was essentially like, we want people to feel the value of these cars. They are hard to get. They should be expensive. And people, should, I'm big air quotes, like I'm paraphrasing here. People should have a sense of pride and accomplishment when they earn them. And I just thought it was hilarious because did no one learn their lesson when EA did this? I don't know, however, whether we are just hearing an extremely vocal minority or whether like a lot of people that have actually finished the game are really frustrated about this. And I'm interested to see whether they see this as an error or whether they see this as a no, this is exactly what we intended. It's all good. We knew there would be backlash and we're okay with it.
Well, so they actually, in the past like 4 days as we record this, the game director, he goes, people call him Kaz because that's a shortening of his name. He came out with a statement that was like an apology, where it was, sorry, we didn't tell you what our roadmap was, what our plan was. Because the other thing people were worried about was like, you can't sell cars in Gran Turismo 7, at least currently.
Oh,
so like,
you can't get money back for them.
You can't get money back for them, exactly. So like, if you win a car in a race and you don't want it, you can't sell it.
Okay.
Which further annoyed people, of course. That was actually one of the big things that they said is coming, is that they're going to enable selling of cars soon, probably in the next 6 weeks or so.
Okay, so it's another source for money.
It's another source for money, exactly. They also said in the update that they're going to increase the payouts of a bunch of races, and they're going to add a bunch of like longer races, like endurance races, which I'm kind of excited about because, as I talked about before, I have like fond memories of like super long races. Now I don't know that I have the patience to do a race that's an hour long, but I don't know. The idea of having to like needing to go into a like pit stop and that kind of thing would be, I don't know. That's interesting to me. That's appealing to me.
No, that's cool. I like that. There's not a lot of games like that.
Right. So we'll see if I actually do it. If I put my money where my time where my mouth is here. Definitely not going to be putting any money into the microtransaction system myself. But another interesting thing here is that they said that they're raising the limit for non-purchased credits from, I think it's like 5 million to 20 million. So basically just like the max number of credits you can earn, which is good. Because it used to be, I think it was either unlimited or there was a different limit for stuff you had purchased with real money versus stuff that you had earned. And it was pretty low for the stuff you earned. So they're taking that and raising it. They're also giving anybody who had Gran Turismo 7 by, I think, March 25th, a free 1 million credits, which is not like a ton, but it's a lot. I mean, it's similar to the level of credits that they gave for the pre-order bonuses. Or no, not the pre-order bonus, but the deluxe edition.
Okay.
So they're trying.
So it's not insignificant.
Yeah. They're scrambling a little bit, but they're trying.
Do you think this was but they originally lowered the rewards for certain races. Do you think they are walking it back, or do you think this was the plan all along?
When they did the change that made everybody angry, they said that they had more things coming and that they were sorry that they couldn't tell you what they were, which is weird because then less than 2 weeks later, they came out and told you what they were, I think. So that was maybe just poor messaging, or maybe they really did, turn around and react and change it. I don't know.
It seems I can't determine whether this is a communication problem or whether this was like a change in strategy and they don't want the backlash.
It feels to me like it's a change in strategy combined with a communication issue. Like, I feel like there was probably a conversation that was, what levers do we have, right? We want to, maybe the goal is we want to drive microtransactions, but I've got to imagine that the director of this game, like the guy who is, loves cars and loves this franchise, who's been doing it for 25 years, like all of this stuff, I don't think that a person that has been involved in the franchise for that long would be such a sellout that they would just be like, oh, money grab, here we go. Like, there had to have been some other influences there. It just doesn't make sense for him to kind of be so short-sighted about that. So maybe there was an internal politics thing with Sony and Polyphony Digital, who's like the actual developer. I don't know, but I think the fact that they walked it all back within like 2 weeks is sufficient. I mean, I guess EA did kind of the same thing, didn't they? Or I don't know how long it took them to react.
They did walk it back. I mean, Battlefront 2 is actually a pretty good game now. They walked most of it back. And by walking it back, I mean they changed it because it was never intended to be the way it is now.
Well, and that game, I mean, Battlefront 2, they like obliterated the real money microtransaction market of that game. Like that, they really walked it back.
Oh yeah, it's gone. I mean, it's all cosmetic now,
but this is less so that. But this is, hey, we're working on ways to make this better and give you better payouts and adjust the economy a little bit better and all of that. So I don't know. I'm not turned off of Gran Turismo forever, but I also was not the most hardcore of Gran Turismo gamers. So maybe take what I say with a grain of salt.
Sure. Through all of this, there was one quote that, again, it was metered, but it was harsh. I like to watch the This Week in Gaming kind of YouTube recaps, and one of the YouTube kind of recaps when they got to the Gran Turismo said that this whole drama cements Forza as the predominant racing game of the decade. And I was like, wow, okay, that's really harsh. I'm not super sure about that. But it has kind of, in my mind, like just gotten me off of like Gran Turismo, of the high of the hype. Because I was excited because you were excited, and I was going to try it, and I was going to buy it and play it. But now at this point, watching you play it, watching kind of like what the game actually is, this is my personal opinion. I don't think that game is for me. And I think that Forza is much more my speed, both from a motorsport and from a Horizon perspective.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like the RPG element of Gran Turismo.
That's interesting, because I think if you go back 2 episodes, you were really excited about it.
I know. I was wrong. I watched you play it, and I don't think I was right about that. I don't like the idea of like going to the the cafe and like talking with the guy, and like I do like the driving tests. I think those are very cool, and I think the how they play into what things are unlocked. I like that element of it, but there's a lot of like go to the cafe or go to the the car show or go to the and it's much more trying to put you in a world than I think even Forza Horizon does. Forza Horizon is a much more it's like taking the RPG elements of Forza Horizon and putting them into a simulator, and I don't like that mix.
Okay. Well, I did not enjoy Forza Motorsport. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was load screens. Maybe it was something else. Because it's not that different than Gran Turismo. But for some reason, I do prefer Gran Turismo to Forza Motorsport. But the arcade racing of Forza Horizon is, I think, a completely different kind of game. With different driving physics, different like feel, different reward structures, different event types, different all of that. A little more personality to it. A little bit less refined, I guess, or like, prim and proper, which is kind of the vibe you get from Gran Turismo. Whereas Forza is much more, it's a festival, it's a party, and that plays through nicely.
You're right. It's prim and proper, like when you're in the race, but then when you're not in the race, it's this weird, like town that you look at from a top down perspective with people talking to you about like going to the cafe and making the barista happy. Like, I don't understand it.
Oh, that's just Japanese games being Japanese games, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't like the style. I can't.
I don't get involved. I don't care at all about whoever the guy that runs the cafe is. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I just accept that as a quirk of a Japanese game and be done with it.
I can't get past it. It's just something. I like Forza. It's fine. We'll stay there. I'm going to stay there.
And I'll stay with Gran Turismo.
And on the high seas. See what I did there?
Oh, yes. Mixing our games yet again. We've been playing a little bit more Sea of Thieves. They are doing this thing now where every 2 weeks or something like that, they're doing like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or maybe 2 weeks on, 4 weeks off of these little mini adventures. We're actually in the middle of one. We got to see if I can finish that this week because it ends like next week. Where they're taking different story beats and putting them out into the world and having them like change over time to the point where like you can't redo these story things after their time windows are over, which is kind of cool.
Oh, wow. But also kind of not.
Yeah, it's a different thing. It's kind of not, because if you're not available the particular 2 weeks or 3 weeks that they're running a particular story set, then you miss out. Have they
changed their studio in a way that allows them to design these stories faster? Or will there be breaks and be like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, but forever? Like, or is there like, there's a series of like 5 stories and then they take a 3-month break, or like, are they developing content faster?
I don't know that they're developing content faster, because I would say also that the level of story stuff that's in these things is pretty small. Like, it's in terms of like voice acting and stuff, there's probably, I don't know, 24 voice lines that they have to record for this. And then a lot of it is just kind of player activities, like where, go to this fortress and unlock these people, go to this other fortress and unlock the people, like go to one fortress in each quadrant of the map. It's like, okay, that'll actually take you, a few hours to do, just by nature of the way that Sea of Thieves goes, where you have to, sail between islands and stuff like that. So like to get from one corner of the map to the other corner of the map takes 25 minutes. And that's assuming that you don't get distracted.
Which you always do. I mean, that's what Sea of Thieves is supposed to do.
Yeah, and that's actually one thing. That's why I actually wanted to put Sea of Thieves on the list here, is because Sea of Thieves like has some of the absolute best emergent gameplay, I would say, of anything that I've played maybe ever.
What does that? I know what does that mean?
So when I say emergent gameplay in relation to Sea of Thieves, I'm talking about the way that like the other people that you interact with and or the kind of unstructuredness of it leads to great memorable situations or good gameplay.
So they've essentially you're saying it's a very good sandbox.
It's a very good sandbox.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I think that Sea of Thieves builds a very good world to interact in.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, oh, Minecraft is like that, but Minecraft is not the same thing as Sea of Thieves. Minecraft has, Minecraft is a box of Legos, and like Sea of Thieves is, I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that Minecraft, while it does have biomes and whatnot, is less about providing you a world and letting you play within it, which Sea of Thieves is like providing you a world and telling you you're a pirate and you play within that setting. Whereas Minecraft, is a little bit more like you're like Legos and open and like do whatever the heck you want. It's a little bit more free. It's not as structured. And I think because it's structured, the people you run into or the activities that you do in Sea of Thieves are more epic, are more like memorable. I like that you said memorable. They just seem like you're a freaking pirate.
Yes, they've really captured the essence of you are a pirate very well.
So I remember though that you often like were frustrated or like I get frustrated a lot with Sea of Thieves playing with other people because I am so objective focused. Like I want to get to the place we're going, no distractions, go. And I remember you kind of being like that. Is that are you enjoying the emergent gameplay of Sea of Thieves a little bit more? Are you relaxing a little bit and becoming a little bit more of a pirate?
I actually would say yes, somewhat. The group that we play with has become more goal-oriented in general, just by virtue of like, oh, we've decided this is the thing we want to do. If other people come and mess with us, we will defend ourselves, and that usually leads to a sufficient level of fights where I am, I don't particularly care for the PvP, especially hand-to-hand combat in Sea of Thieves, but I do like the ship-based, the naval combat, because I'm pretty good at shooting cannons and I'm very bad at hand-to-hand combat.
You're very good at aiming cannons.
Yes, thank you. And so I don't particularly care for let's go be the aggressors and chase these guys, although I've come around on that a little bit. Sometimes I enjoy that much more than I used to. But I also think that we are much less of the bloodlust, like, there's a ship over there. I see it in the distance with my spyglass. I'm going to go chase it.
For an hour.
And that was the thing I didn't... Yeah, for an hour, right? And we've definitely learned our lesson there in that we do not chase anybody for more than like 2 minutes. If we're going after somebody, if they are clearly trying to run, we all have an understanding that it is definitely not worth our time to chase them. And that's a blanket rule. Because, I mean, we did that one time. We spent at least an hour chasing somebody who did not want to be chased, and we never caught up to them. And it was just, they were just constantly just running away. Now, we have been the running ship, and actually I enjoy that quite a bit. Like, when it's like, oh gosh, we're going to lose these guys. Okay, let's figure out some crazy thing we can do where we go behind an island so they can't see us. Then we anchor turn 180, come back out the island going the same way because they're going to go try to cut us off on the far side, and then we sail away. Like, that is fun to me because it's clever. It's not just like...
You like to be the mouse.
Yeah, I do. And so that to me is fun. The other thing is that we've started to understand a little bit the terrible menu system in Sea of Thieves that hides the very elaborate achievement system of Sea of Thieves. And so, for instance, March 24th was when the current kind of round of adventure content came out. And one of our friends thought that was this past Tuesday. March 24th was a Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. So on Tuesday, we all get on and we're like, yeah, let's do this thing. And we go to where we think it is, and there's nothing there and it's nothing new. And we're like, oh, okay. And then I looked it up and I was like, hey, this comes out in 2 days. So what did we do? We continued to play Sea of Thieves for another like hour and a half, 2 hours. And we picked an achievement that was like, go sit in all of these thrones on all of these different islands. And here's a bunch of hints about them. So it was like, here's achievements that are all, coded hints of, sit on the throne beneath the cliff or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but then we had to figure out, kind of look at the map, figure out where we thought that was, then go there and find this throne and get to it, which all of them were in weird spots and they were hard to find, and then do the sit emote on them. Because this was actually added before there was proper sitting, which was added 2 months ago. So this was actually a quest that came out like 3 years ago. So you had to use the sit emote while you're basically on this certain piece of geometry. And that's what we did for that whole, there are 5 of them, and we did that for 2 hours. And in the middle of that, we encountered another ship, and I forget if we fought them or sunk them. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. I don't remember. But that became the structure, was we are going to go do all of these throne things before we sign off tonight. And we were pretty on task of that, but also with some level of small diversion. And I really think that was super fun. And then we played again 2 days later and did the new story content, sort of. We got about halfway through. But then we had the most amazing player PvP interaction that was starting to get to be like, oh gosh, this is going to be really, really annoying. But it was a great time. And I can tell the story because we took notes of it, because it recounted it to everyone that wasn't there, just because it was so good. But I will pause as you did and give you a minute to jump in.
I've said for a long time that I may not enjoy Sea of Thieves the way you guys play, but you are making it sound much more enticing than the way you used to play. I used to get very frustrated by the lack of focus and objective-based gameplay. And you tell a very convincing... I mean, I know you're not trying to convince me to come back and play, but you're making it sound much more appealing. So maybe the next story that gets released, I will try and come back and join you guys. Because it's so... I mean, Sea of Thieves is so low commitment, right? Whatever.
It's on Game Pass.
But since you guys are... Yeah, well, yes, but also, you could do one story and not the next, and, there's no meta, there's no, there's no builds. It's, literally you jump in and you're exactly in the same situation. You may look a little different. So it's not like I have to, catch up in terms of gear score or anything.
Oh, no.
So that's what I mean by low commitment. But since you're already halfway through this story, maybe when the next story starts, I will be slightly more inclined to join you.
Truly, you could come join us for the rest of this one, and all we've done so far is unlock some prisoners from some jail cells. And I think all we have to do is unlock some more prisoners from some more jail cells. So you're welcome to join along if you want to. That's what I mean by these are really, really small, these little adventure things, but they do give you a reason to come back into the game.
Yeah.
The other thing that they've done that I think really increases the enjoyment of the Sea of Thieves experience is that they've made it so that you can purchase crates of cannonballs and fruit from the outpost that you start at. So you can guarantee... Yes,
I played one time after they released that.
Yeah, you can guarantee that you're going to have at least 50 more cannonballs and at least 50 more bananas than you would have started with. And that was a big change. And you haven't played since they made the other change, which is you can buy a storage crate now, and then you can walk up to all the other storage barrels and things on the island and just press and hold a button, and it will suck all of the stuff out of that barrel into the storage crate in your hand.
No.
Yeah, it is revolutionary.
That sounds so nice. I hate the menu system.
Yeah, so I call it hoovering the island, right? Where you go and you just suck up all of this stuff into this storage crate, and then you have 100 cannonballs that come out of this one experience. And it's just it's made it so much easier to get started in a session, I would say, because it doesn't take 20 minutes to kind of pick over an island and get all of the stuff from it into your inventory and then into a thing. You can just take it directly without having to open a menu, which is super nice. So I would say that all has really improved, like been significant quality of life updates.
I would also say it lowers the stress level of well, I mean, you never want to die, you never want to sink, but it's just one of those things where like the biggest gripe in sinking, the biggest like frustration in losing your ship was that you have to go collect all the materials again.
Mm-hmm, right.
And if they've removed that barrier, like I feel like they're just making the game more fun to play, less frustrating to play, but not really changing any of the mechanics. And that's really nice.
Yeah, no, it's the same, same resource limited option. It's just that you can buy those resources with the copious amounts of gold that you have from playing previous sessions. Because it only costs like 2,000 or maybe 3,000 gold to buy a cannonball crate, which is basically nothing.
Which even I can afford with not playing very much. Yeah.
So they've made it very accessible, and that is really nice.
Okay, you've convinced me to try it again when you guys play. I say I play games to play with other people, and Sea of Thieves is a perfect example of that. And you have, without even trying, convinced me to come play with you guys.
Awesome. I'll let you know next time we play.
You ready for this? We're killing it with the transitions today. Speaking of playing games to play with other people.
Oh,
did you like that?
That was good. That was a nice one.
Returnal, as we said last episode, I think,
mm-hmm.
right?
We said it.
Yeah. Added a co-op, and you and I have tried it. I will say tried it because we didn't really do more than one round, but Returnal is a yeah, okay. It's a roguelike. It's a roguelite. We had an episode on that. There is some meta to it, but we played it together, and from someone who has not played a whole lot of Returnal, but I did play it solo. Playing it with someone else was such a better experience.
I agree. I actually had a lot of fun. So I've played a lot of Returnal. I've gotten to like the third biome of I think there's 6. Still really haven't made progress since the last time we talked about it. But we loaded into this combined, shared instance basically, and tried to go through and then do the first boss. And the first boss can be a little tricky, and I was very out of practice. We did not beat the first boss, but only by a sliver. But it was so much easier to deal with a lot of things by having a second person there, because the enemies will still only target one person at a time. So you had a little bit of breathing room sometimes, and that made all the difference in the world from a combat perspective.
Oh, so much difference.
But also there was kind of the social aspect of like, oh yeah, where do you think we should go? Do we think we should go this way or that way? And like, rather than just like one person watching and one person playing, we were both in the world and looking at the same mini map and playing, and we could bring up the map independently and look for stuff. And it was just 2 heads are better than one. That was definitely really good.
There's also the resource management aspect of it. Like they don't, it didn't seem like they increased the amount of resources or anything like that. So there was a lot of like sharing of health and who should take it, and what's your weapon proficiency at? Should you take this item? Should I take this item? Do you want this weapon? Are you better with this weapon? Like it was a resource management in a way, and I really like that, because that's essentially how they keep the game balanced. Is that even though there are 2 people, we're still only providing enough resources for essentially one player. So you have maybe not as strong of weapons, or maybe you don't have as much weapon proficiency as if you were playing alone, or there's clearly not as many health packs around the world for 2 people, because it was, the amount in the area was intended for one player. So it was very cool to kind of go through that with someone, and to make those decisions and talk about like what's going to be the best chance for winning by sharing these resources. I don't know that we have a whole lot to say about it, because we only played one round, right? We only played one loop.
Played 20 minutes. That
it was definitely something that I would like to go back to. I think it's one of those things that if we had like, you and I, a lot of times we'll just sit in Discord and we'll just be like, what should we play? I think Returnal has definitely been added to that like default list on something that we could just whip out and play together. Now that now that it has co-op, and now that I figured out my PlayStation.
Especially to do just like one run.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever.
And then you're accidentally really good, and then it's an hour.
Yeah. Is that how long it took last night?
No, I don't think it did.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, even just when playing single player, like sometimes you'd be like, oh, this is going to be fine. I always die on these things in 10 minutes. Like, you know, I've got a little bit of time. I'll just try this. And then all of a sudden you start having the best run of your life. And then you're like, well, I can't stop now. I got to keep going. So,
well, okay. So that brings up a good question. I wonder how the resume and or, how do you keep going?
I bet you can't. Just based on some of the reviews and things I'd read about it being a little bit flaky on the network side, I bet you cannot save a state and rejoin with the same person. I believe at the start of each biome, there is one of those little orbs that lets you start a co-op session. So maybe that's how you would do it, is you would just have to like suspend wherever you are, get to the next biome, and then bring in the other person. Because it really is like a primary and secondary.
Well, I mean, you can always teleport back to the beginning of the biome, right?
Yes, I think so. So maybe you would be able to come back in and pull somebody in. We maybe should test that.
I wonder, though, if it would save their weapons and loadout and all that, or if it would just bring them in as a brand new player.
It's probably the latter.
Yeah, I would suspect so. But, I mean, it's a roguelike. It's... Don't do that. I guess is the answer.
Yeah. Just play it all in one session, and that's just, you got to commit to that, I think.
We're going to beat Returnal together.
I think that's the only way I'm going to beat Returnal is in a co-op session, so I am all for that.
Okay, how do I end this thing? If you want to talk about stuff... okay. So now, listen, there's cool stuff in our Discord, right? Like, I posted something that, like, I think I said still relevant. Like, our name is still relevant. Pride and accomplishment, People still bringing it up on Discord or in Reddit, like 3 years later. So we have the best gaming podcast name out there. I'm sticking to that. If you want to see cool articles that relate to our name, because we're cool, or, just chat about video gaming, or find out about free games through the Epic Game Store or all that cool stuff, you can join us and talk to us by getting into our Discord, which you can get to at discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you'd like to read our show notes or find any of our older episodes, or even drop us a line via email, you can find all of those things at our website, which is pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you want to help us grow this podcast and reach some more people, we would love if you could just share it with some other people that may enjoy Pride and Accomplishment.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Okay, we've made the listeners wait. Now you have to tell us your Sea of Thieves story.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. I was worried that we were just going to like blow by it and not get to it, but this is perfect. So, there we were. No, I'm not going to start with that. We were running as a sloop, which is the smallest ship in Sea of Thieves, and it's a two-person ship. So you can have a sloop, a brig, and a galleon. And so that's 2, 3, and 4 players. So the galleon, of course, being the biggest one, it has like 3 floors, 2 basement floors and a top deck. And then the sloop is the smallest thing, and it's kind of designed to be run by 1 or 2 people. So like it has like the anchor is right behind the steering wheel, and like all the sails are right up there next to the steering wheel. So you can actually run that whole ship by yourself. It also sinks faster because it's smaller. So we were running as a sloop, and we went and got a bunch of treasure and did a bunch of stuff, and that's great. We were running as the Reaper's Bones emissary, which means that you get the most value from selling your stuff to the Reaper guy on the one island. There's this particular Reaper's Island in Sea of Thieves. And as we're heading over to Reaper's to sell stuff, my shipmate said...
Compatriot.
Yes.
Fellow pirate,
there we go, said, there's a player galleon out in the distance. And sometimes that's a problem, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're just like, oh, there's a player ship, and they're just kind of, minding their own business going somewhere, and we're minding our own business going somewhere. And so then we're just like, all right, we're going to go sell. That's fine. Sometimes after we sell, we're like, all right, now we're going to go hunt those guys. That was not our intention in this particular moment. we then proceeded to go on our course and noticed that the player galleon was turning to chase us. That's not good when you are the smallest ship and they are the biggest ship, because they have 3 cannons on each side of their ship. We have 1 cannon on each side of our ship. So in a naval battle, like they can take 3 shots for every one that we can take, basically. And they can have 4 people and we have 2. So, 1 person steering and 1 person shooting, potentially. So we know that we're in a little bit of trouble. We had some, we call them boom barrels. They have a better name, but they're basically the explosive barrels. We had some in our crow's nest, which if you get hit with boom barrels on your ship and you're running a sloop, you're dead. Like it just puts all the holes in your ship.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I mean, basically, it's essentially a death wish. I mean, maybe with 1 you'd be okay, but we had like 4.
Oh, jeez.
And
okay.
we would have absolutely just blown up and been dead. So, I mean, this is another one of these things where like we didn't care that much about the treasure that we had. Like we'd like to sell what we have because we have a decent bit of stuff, but like it's, you got to just, when you play Sea of Thieves, you just have to chill. Like that just has to be the mindset that you're in of like, you win some, you lose some. So we're like, all right, we'll see what we can do. And so we go towards Reapers and they're chasing us, like directly behind us, chasing us. You can drop boom barrels out of your ship. And then if a ship sails into a boom barrel in the water, they get hurt. So we wanted to try to do that. So we did.
Great foreshadowing. Okay.
So we wanted to try to do that. And we dropped a couple of them out there and they kind of missed. Then my fellow pirate jumped off holding one of these, which meant that he could steer it. And he swims over towards their ship and happens to be in their way and all of this stuff. And then he manages to ignite the boom barrel and blow their ship and himself up a little bit. So he's dead. And he's like, yep, I got him. Then I see his little like ghost floating up into the sky. So when that happens, he respawns back on our ship and that's fine. The problem was they were running, again, the biggest ship. So like it did some damage to them. It caused them to scramble a little bit. They had to repair, but they kept coming. Like it really didn't stop them or slow them down, but it did get the boom barrel off of our ship. So at least we didn't have to worry about them blowing us up with 1 cannonball. Anyway, so we get to Reaper's Island and we're like, we have this trick we do sometimes where we will circle our ship around the island and like 1 person circles the ship and the other person jumps off and sells stuff. And so that's what we did here. We were like, oh, we slowed him down. We took down a mast of theirs. We did these things and whatever. They're going to be a little slow. So we dropped a bunch of stuff off at the island, like just on the beach. And then you have to run it into the building and whatever. They chased us around that island for, I want to say like 15 minutes, just around in circles around this one island.
As 1 person is just selling your stuff.
And I was the 1 person and I was just selling stuff. Finally, they kind of figured it out and they got onto the island and they came and they killed me because I'm very bad at hand-to-hand combat. And that's fine. Fine, whatever. So then I end up back on our ship and I go back on the island and they've started to hit us with cannons from the island because this was an island that had little cannon towers. I was able to sneak up behind the guy that was on the cannon and take him by surprise and kill him with a sword lunge, which is a 1-hit kill. And he wasn't paying any attention. He didn't even know I was there, which was great. I did realize I need to kind of change my pirate style because I have a peg leg as a pirate and you make this very loud clunking noise when you walk on wood in this game. So like it's very bad for sneaking, which is pretty realistic, I guess. But there's just no good way to sneak up on somebody with a peg leg. And so then this goes back and forth. And then we finally get to the point where I'm just selling 1 item at a time. Like every time we go around a lap, my buddy drops 1 chest out of the thing into the water and I just swim out and go get it, come back and sell it. We actually managed to sell all of the stuff that we had. Like our entire ship's worth of stuff, we were able to sell it, which was great. So then we're like, all right, we're done now. All good. And now we're like, well, we've sold all our stuff. We have nothing left to lose.
You have to engage now.
Now, yeah. So literally the thing that we said was, what shenanigans do we have to do to win this fight? Like, what do we have left that we can do? Because we have no boom barrels. We have no, we have some cannonballs, but not much. We have no chain shots. We can't take down their mass. It's a whole thing. So we have no idea what we're going to do. We're just kind of like, juking a little bit and like trying to kite them a little bit and take bot shots where we can. And that's all great. Finally, I'm the only one on the ship because I don't know, whatever had happened. But then all of a sudden we slow to a stop and the water starts to turn dark and eventually gets black. And what that means in Sea of Thieves is there's the Kraken. So the Kraken is like an emergent, well, I say emergent again, but anyways, it's a random event that happens in a random place on Sea of Thieves. And it basically stops, like it turns the water into ink or whatever of this octopus looking thing. And the Kraken just has these tentacles that come out of the water, and they're really, really dangerous. And both of our ships, mine and the galleon, get stuck in the Kraken water, except we were at the edge of it and they were in the middle of it. So they were the target and we were just kind of collateral damage stuck in there. You can still move in there. It's just really slow, but we were right on the edge. So we got out. They had actually cannoned someone at us and he missed our ship. And so he only swims slowly too. And he takes damage in that water. So he didn't make it. And like, we hear him yelling in like all voice chat, like, you know, I missed him. Oh no, they're going to get away. I looked back and their ship was like almost immediately sinking because of this Kraken. Like it was just the perfect like poetic justice to this whole evening. And we sailed away unscathed and was able to sell anything else that we had left, I think. But if we had anything, I don't even remember.
That's incredible.
I know. The turn of events was so good. And that's the kind of thing, when I say emergent gameplay, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about, of just like, this series of events was absolutely just ridiculous. Like, you couldn't plan for it. You couldn't, go try to make it happen or anything like that. And I want to say, like, every third time that we play a Sea of Thieves, something like that happens. I mean, maybe not quite to this level of epic tale, but like something like that happens.
Something story worthy.
Yeah, something where you'd want to tell your friends, like, you won't believe the thing that just happened to us while we were playing Sea of Thieves. And it has nothing to do with the scripted story.